Brian, hey, congratulations on your new film, Guns of Redemption.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Hey, you know what? Not a problem. I mean, I've spoken to you a couple times before because I know you're such a good action director, but this is the first Western I ever spoke to you about.
Yeah, it is. No, we've had plenty of good conversations about action, but yeah, this is, westerns are fun because it takes it takes the action movie, but it puts it in kind of a different stratosphere, right? So,
Absolutely. So what initially drew you that you wanted to direct Guns of Redemption?
it was the redemption story. I mean, it's really taking somebody, when I read the script, I was like, man, this is cool because you're taking somebody that belonged to the wrong team. I mean, by no means are the
Mhm.
Confederate Army a good team to be on. That was the bad team. And you're taking, a soldier that was in that, and he's looking for redemption. He's looking to make up for his past in some way. And then you're taking a true story about the Union Army and them kidnapping and arresting Southern women and mixing the two. And so suddenly everybody becomes kind of gray, and you find yourself, and I think the story I'd like to tell is that, look, you know, there there's movements that are bad. It doesn't mean the individual soldier was necessarily bad. They just belong to a bad movement. And I think that soldier could definitely redeem himself in some way or another. And so, yeah, it's an interesting story. I think it's yeah.
I like this film because the fact that it kind of reverses, the tropes of, Unions are always good guys, Confederates are always bad guys. And in this case, it painted, like you said, it painted the Union in a different light where there are some people out there, some Union soldiers who are not good, and they actually did this kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean the Union Army, look, war in general is just horrible. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, war in general is horrible and it's like sports. You're gonna pick a side and if your side is right or wrong, usually the winner writes the history books, right? So but war in general is horrible, and there's horrible things that take place, and the Union Army was not, they burnt churches down, they killed plenty of innocent people, and so I think that's the story, is that we're talking about characters in a time that was just atrocious. So.
Now, this is not your first Western from my understanding. So, how did you want to approach this Western and make it different and fresh from the other Westerns you have did before?
So this, funny enough, this is actually my third Western. My second Western comes out later this year. This one beat the second one. So, and then the first one's Dead Man's Hand. Now, Dead Man's Hand was based on a graphic novel, so it had some. It was funny because a very close friend of mine who was the stunt coordinator on Dead Man's Hand, Pete, he's a Western aficionado, and he watched it and he was like, "Hey man, you need to make another Western, but this time don't put any like weird fantasy stuff in it." And so and so I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it was based on a graphic novel and I understand the fantasy, but so it gave me a chance. I think Guns of Redemption made me a chance to make an actual straight Western, no weird kind of like spiritual kind of things. It was just a straight, Sergio Leone type Western. And I tried to make it different from the second one, which comes out later this year, which I tried, that one I tried to make it very classic and, slow, big movements. And this one I made it more handheld and frenetic. And so it was, yeah, I mean, you're always trying to give your films a little touch, something a little different, so that's what I did.
Now, as any part of Westerns, one of the great things about watching Westerns is actually the scenery, the locations that you pick out. Tell us about the locations that you actually pick out, and what Western production town did you use?
So we shot it on location in Kentucky. It's actually southern Kentucky, and we shot in a city. We shot in Cave City and Horse Cave. That's kind of the area we shot in. The western town is actually is called Guntown Mountain. Guntown Mountain. And funny enough, we actually it was an old, it was like really an old decrepit town. We had gone out there and visited it for the second movie, which, and we went up there and we were like, man, this place has not been used in 100 years. Let's rebuild it. And so we actually rebuilt that town for movie two, which is called
Mhm.
Gunslingers. It's Nick Cage and Stephen Dorff and Heather Graham. And that film actually built that town. So we went in, rebuilt the whole town. And then this film was supposed to go right after that. So we were able to use Guntown Mountain for this film because it's fresh. Nobody had used this place in years. And then right after we did Guns of Redemption, there's a Western music video that went in there and it ended up blowing up to like number one Western music video. So that town's now getting used. But it's cool because I designed it. I went in there and I was like, I want the bar here, I want this, I want that. I got to be able to build the town. And then for Guns of Redemption, we're in the town for a very small point, and then we go to the Battle of Munfordville, and
Mhm.
it's actually a historic battlefield, and that's where we filmed a lot of the big, majestic shots that you saw, the outdoor stuff. So it's a real battlefield, and that's what we kind of base the battle in the beginning of the movie. It's based on that battle. Um,
Yeah, it looks beautiful especially in this film. Now, your lead, Casper, I know you worked with him before. Tell us why he's perfect. Because if I recall, you had him as a villain before, but now this is like a very opposite character for him.
You're right. I did. I had him as a villain in the second. Casper's just such a diverse actor, and I really enjoy working with him because he brings his A game every time. And what made him perfect for this part is unlike the villain, this is more true to life to who Casper really is. Luke is very much who Casper really is. He's a heartfelt, sweetheart of a guy, super nice. Give his shirt off the back to anybody. He's really that kind of person. And so he really embodied Luke because we needed those redeeming qualities because obviously he's on the wrong team, but sometimes good guys end up on the wrong team. And so I think that's what was important with Casper. And he and I have a shorthand. We've done, multiple projects together. So it was fun. It's always nice to work with people whom you enjoy not only on the set but off the set.
I enjoy your action films is because every time you bring in a villain, these are villains that you love to hate. And in this case, you brought in Jeff to play General Bork here in this film. Can you talk about the process and how you molded him perfectly to be that villain, another hateful villain in one of your movies?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Jeff is, I love working with Jeff. He's phenomenal. It's all about music. We're both musicians. And so, we just hit it off just right away. And he just, he personified that General Bork so well. I mean, he came in and was like, we talked on the phone prior to going to the location, and then we did a table read. And after the table read, he and I sat down over a bottle of wine and just really talked out Bork and how we wanted to make, we wanted to give him, a reason, he has, on why he does what he does, but it's despicable what he does. And he knows it's despicable, but he's still going to do it, and that's what made the villain so hateable was like when a villain knows what he's doing is just outright wrong, but he's still going to do it. That's a great villain, you know.
Now, are you sticking into this genre for Western for now, or just it was just convenient because they were just back-to-back projects for yourself?
There was a little bit of convenience there because I had two Westerns go back to back, but I'd still do them, we'll see. I mean, Shout Factory, I really loved working for those guys. They're a great team to work for. Hopefully they'll have me back to another Western. I think there's always going to be a demand for Westerns. It's not a huge demand, but there's always, four, five, six a year that I think the studios can fill, and I'd absolutely love to do it again. It's one of the hardest films to make by all means. It's absolutely very difficult to make a good Western, but it's fulfilling as a filmmaker for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
there is a certain love up for Westerns. Audiences, even though they don't admit it, you know, like the TV series like Yellowstone and so on, or even Kevin Costner's Horizon, there seemed to be sort of like an underlying love for Westerns, even though a lot of people, always say, "Oh, we want comic book movies," but Westerns, it still has that draw.
Yeah, I think it'll always have a draw, always have a draw. And I think, my children are now getting into their early 20s, they're just discovering Westerns, because you're right. It's been the last 10, 15 years, it's been inundated by Marvel. It's been superheroes and everything else. Whereas my kids, my son who's 9, he watched, one of my Westerns. He got a early screening because he's my son, but he got to watch it and he loved it. By the end of it, he's clapping and cheering and talking about all the guys. And so I think, these generations as they come up, they get to discover new things, and the Western genre will be a discovery for a lot of people. So.
And one major last thing that I do wanted to discuss, because what makes a Western is also the music behind the Western, and I could hear that music, and it very much feels like a Western because of it. Tell us about those, the those the music behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, I mean it was pretty cool because I mean I asked if I could score the film, and everybody was like, yeah, sure, and they were a little nervous at first. I think they were like, okay. But then when I finally started sending some music over and showing them what I was doing, everybody got real excited about it. And because to me you're exactly right. It's always about the music, and I was very like I wanted the music to tell the story along with it, and I wanted the themes. I wanted it to feel Sergio Leone, and I wanted it to feel have everybody has these kind of themes, and the whistle, and the classic kind of grindhouse spaghetti western type feel. And I really wanted to get that across, and I just was like I was adamant about writing the music and doing it myself. And so I found some great pieces that that we could that fit the movie, and so it was awesome.
Well, you certainly did it. And before I leave, I have to ask. Where did you get Jeff's hat at? That hat is so unique. I feel like I need to hunt one down just for a keepsake.
They rented that out of Los Angeles somehow, someplace out here. I don't know, but it was epic. I mean, his hat's epic. The costuming was amazing. Our costumer did a great job on this film. So
I love it. So, Brian, it's a pleasure speaking to you again. And I'm very certain we'll circle back once again for another action film. So, thank you very much, Brian.
yeah, take care. Thank you.